And we are live with episode 150 of the Start, Build, Grow Show.
Bro,
The one the one and only Randy Brothers, my friend. What is going on? How we doing?
Living the dream, my friend. What is up,
Yes.
Facebook? What is up, Start, Build, Grow Show Nation? If you're listening in your car on the podcast, what is up to you as well? Man, we're stoked today. We keep getting rockstar guests. Our guest today, man, and my man, one of the, if not, set the record in the entire industry for the most sales in 1 year by one person ever. But that's just the start of this man's capacity, his knowledge, and the things that he's able to share. So I'm looking forward to the conversation today. We're gonna have a good time, man. My man Jake Nix, welcome to the show, bro.
Man, it is an honor to be here. I've watched all 150 episodes. I binged watched them. No,
Dude, Jake's a super fan, right? You're a super fan of the show?
Man, to have two dudes like you in the industry is so rare. So it's like that's like any way that I can be these dudes' friend. That's what I've been trying to do.
Man, and we got great. We got connected. We hung out in Silverthorne, man. We hit the slopes. Well, we hit up Keystone, right, guys?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. How'd that go for you, Jake?
Randy needs to tell that story coming down.
I kind of do, man. So Jake's YouTube famous now, I think, from Keystone, I think, possibly. Anyways, we went snowboarding.
It's Russian YouTube though. It's a Russian dude.
It was some sort of foreign channel, but we're there's this one area where we call the beach, right? It's this area where two big slopes and two lifts kind of all converge in this one little area in the backside of the front face of Keystone. And they got, you can get beers and hang out and chill out down there. But there's long lift lines. And on this one side, they're just really long, really steep facing slope. And this was late season and it was really icy. So I was out in front of Jake a little bit and on my snowboard, and he was on skis. And I came over this hill and I caught that ice, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is pretty slick. It was like a solid sheet of ice. I'm like, okay. I was able to somehow navigate my way down it. I go get in line, and all of a sudden I look up and the crowd starts cheering behind me. And I look up and I see Jake come over that hill, catch the ice, slide out perfectly, and literally proceed to slide down, like, no joke, 300 yards of just pure ice sliding down this face. And he had about like 300 people or more just like cheering him on. But he did it with grace, and the conditions were rough and he didn't see it coming. So it was pretty funny. It was a pretty classic moment.
I got the clip right here. Let me see if I can put it at my camera.
Right, let's see what we got here. Hold on. You got the clip? There he goes, flying down the sheet right there.
Bro, from that.
People were loving you, man. You came to town. You were a celebrity from Texas, man,
Bro, the whole way down, I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Nobody's watching. You don't look stupid. Like, you're fine. Nobody even sees you. And I get down and I'm like, thank God that I'm alive, number one. And the crowd erupts in cheers. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a great time, man. But hey, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it. We know you're gonna bring some fire, man. We are super stoked. But you know how it is. We go story time to begin the show, man. So we kind of go to the background of Jake Nix. What's your background? How did you end up in the roofing space? Or how, we like to say is, how did roofing find you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do got to start off because it might pop up in the comments. Any questions about the Lee Height fight? You got to hold off right now. You have to talk to the fight manager, so that's going to be a big deal, but I can't talk about it on this one. So just want to let you know. Man, yeah, no, roofing did find me. Dude, I remember the first time somebody told me, like, hey, did you know that you can go knock on somebody's door and get the insurance company to pay for their roof after a hailstorm. I'm like, there's no way. Like, why would the insurance company pay? And they said, no, it works and you can make this amount of money. I said, I'm sold. And ever since then, it was just exciting, right? Because when I'm going to knock on the door, it's like I'm solving a problem, but I'm also making money. So for me, it was fulfilling and fulfilled my pocket all in the same time.
Do you remember that beginning journey where you just started knocking? How'd it go in the front end?
Yeah. So, I mean, we got baptized like by fire, right? So we didn't have a good hailstorm. It was 4 hours away. So we had to wake up and drive every single day 4 hours away to go knock. And I only owned a small construction company. I built pergolas, I built fireplaces, like small stuff. Never had done any roofs. And I was like, well, let's go try this out. So we started off by driving out 4 hours away. Sometimes we'd be able to stay up there. Sometimes we drive there in the morning, drive back that night. So, that was my first year in roofing, that 4 hour trek. I mean, there'd be times I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to drive out to an adjuster meeting for a roof that didn't get bought. And so when you're tired and you're not staying out there, you don't have a hotel. So you take a quick nap in the truck or whatever and get out there knocking. And I thought that's how it was. So, by the time that an actual hailstorm happened where I was like, man, this is like taking candy from a baby out here. And so the second year that we were in business, we just dominated the market out there in Oklahoma because what we were used to was so much work that once it was just in our backyard, I mean, we were there from morning to night. It looked like National Flag Day with our roofing signs out there because we lived out there. So it's been an incredible experience.
Mm-hmm. And where was this? Was this in Florida?
No, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. So then when you started really rocking and rolling, right? You had a year to remember, a record-breaking year, right? So is it true that you hit 30 million in sales in 1 year?
In Florida. Yeah,
in Florida.
2019, 2020, yeah. So
you
that
was 30 mil.
30 mil.
Companies can't hit 30 mil. But Mr. Jake Nix over here, the next Logan Paul is out here, 30 mil, right? So tell us a little bit about that. How do you hit $30 million?
It was one of those things. The roofs out here, my average roof was $80,000 to $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it was I come from a world where the roof is $18,000 to $80,000 to $100,000 on average. I'm just like, dear Lord, if we dominated this market at 18,000, it was just like, it was such a boost because you get tired, right? You get tired of the same thing over. And then I got to experience a different market. I had never sold a tile roof in my life. And the very first door I knock on when I come out here, I had a company recruit me from Florida because they had seen what I'd done in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We stole all their business. The guy who owned the same company in Tulsa had one in Florida. So they'd have sales meetings about, why is Jake stealing all their sales? So they begged me. I think the dude called me like 75 times, said, will you please come up here? And we were able to take them from no sales to, just dominating the market. But it was just, part of it is the path that I was on. So I didn't start out with something that was like easy. So when it came to this market, it was easy. And before I had to deal with the fact that nobody was home. Well, I came to Naples where everybody's retired and everybody's home. So I literally was able to talk to people from 8 o'clock in the morning to 9:30 at night. So like everybody thinks like, man, that's, I'd love to hit those numbers, but we're talking 6-7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day, knocking, selling. I had to have 2 assistants handling my paperwork on the back end because we had so much. So it's not an easy task, but it was the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, to hit those kind of numbers, you kind of have to have your own systems and processes like run your own business, I feel like, right? So I know you have a great sales background. Honestly, you're very successful there, but I feel like you're also a great marketer. And it sounds like you actually had some admin help, right? So what did that look like? What was did you kind of have like almost like a plan that you put together, like a strategy that you put together that you're gonna be like, all right, hey, so I'm gonna do this to try to generate, do marketing efforts. I'm gonna try to have some admin fill out my forms so I can knock more doors. Like, what did this system that you were building out look like?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things I came from owning my own business and, taking care of all the paperwork, taking care of ordering the jobs. And then I came to a position where all I had to do was sell. And it was like, it was like so easy to do coming from owning my own business just to sell. And I was like, I'm making more money as just a salesman than I did owning my own business.
Yeah.
So I was able to take all those system and practices that I had done before with my sales team and just focused it on myself. And one of the biggest things was understanding the bell curve, right? Understanding people. So out of every 10 people, there's what you call an early adopter, 1 out of every 10 people. And those are the people who are going to listen to what you have to say. So even if you have no roofs in the neighborhood, no matter what you have going on, they're going to give you the chance. So if there was 100 roofs in a neighborhood, right, I'd go knock on all 100 doors. I'd find the 10 early adopters, and then I'd stop knocking in that neighborhood. And then I would make those people happy. We would get their roofs on. We would make them raving customers. If they needed groceries, I'd go pick up groceries for them. But during that time, I'm in a new neighborhood finding the early adopters. So one of the things that a lot of roofing companies do is it's like sporadic, right? I'll get people calling me. It's like, well, this neighborhood's not good. Like, what do you mean a neighborhood's not good? Like every neighborhood is basically the same. It's got the same amount of people. It's got the same types of people. It's just what you put in. So a lot of times we'll get into that neighborhood and we'll hit a door where, somebody was rude, and then they think the whole community's rude. It's not that. It's just, that's just who that person was. So understanding those numbers helped me kind of push, right? So I'm not over knocking in one neighborhood. By the time I got the early adopters, I'm off to another one.
Mm-hmm. Well, first off, Sean says it's the beard, pretty simple. Nick doesn't understand, so I'm feeling a little left out here with you guys. Lacking my beard for sure. So, okay. So you said a couple of things that I wanted to touch on there. Okay. So first thing is groceries. Did you actually go pick up groceries for these people?
Oh yeah, 100%, man. Like anything, right? Because like at the end of the day, we like roofing companies, they spend all of their time on stuff that people don't actually care about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all that people want to know is, does my roof leak? They don't care if it's GAF. They don't care if it's Owens Corning. They don't care if it's Boral. They don't care if it's Eagle Tile. They just want to know, hey, did you put a high quality product on my roof, and do you believe in it? Mm-hmm. So instead of focusing on the things that nobody cares about, I focus on the stuff that people do care about. If somebody's out there raking leaves, I'd say, hey, let me give you a hand raking those leaves. Like, you would just help them. I wouldn't even pitch them a roof or anything like that. And after they said thank you, they asked me what I'm doing in the neighborhood. I told them. And I got business that way. So I spent all of my time meeting people's needs and focusing on people than focusing on stuff that they don't actually care about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, you capitalized on the law of reciprocity, right? You just, with a genuine heart and a genuine personality, like, go serve others, help other people, find ways to serve other people. And in turn, it just naturally grew your business because people naturally want to reciprocate that genuine, compassion and empathy towards them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. Everybody's looking for real people. And one of the beautiful things was HOAs, right? Because if you can get a good name inside an HOA, then it spreads like wildfire. So to get all of those deals, I didn't knock on all of those doors. There were people taking me. Like, I would have old ladies come taking me and going to knock on the neighborhood, like, Betty Sue, you gotta use Jake. He's amazing. And like that's really what it came from. So it's like, so many times we're focusing on closing. Everybody's like, how do you be a closer, right? Mm-hmm. But like, if you're a good closer, it doesn't matter if you can't get your foot in the door. Right. If you're out there in Dallas, Texas, and there's 30 other people knocking on that door, it doesn't matter how good of a closer you are. If you can't get your foot in the door and make that person like you, then, it doesn't matter. There's not a sales tactic in the world that can overcome that.
Couldn't you see that, Randy? Some old woman pulling Jake by the hand and be like, "Oh, you got to use this guy."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that polite charm that you're working, man. I could definitely see that. All right, so then the early adopters situation, you're saying, hey, people go into the neighborhood, they say this neighborhood's no good, and you're like, hey, whoa, what do you mean a whole neighborhood's no good, right? How do you identify the early adopters? Are you just trying to hit everybody you can, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is the one, or like, is there a way to kind of identify that?
Yeah, and a lot of times, if I met a Karen, right, in a neighborhood, like one of those people who will call the cops on you, I wouldn't even pitch them, right? Like, because you can, when somebody opens that door, you can feel that energy coming out. Like, they're either there to bite your head off, or they're like, thank God somebody's knocking on my door to talk to me. And so it's really those people that have, like the way they would answer the door, I would be able to determine it, right? So if I had somebody that came out all hot and heavy, instead of trying to sell them right then and there, I would wait. So I would let them know, like I would knock on the door and, depending upon the vibe that they gave me, if they gave me a negative vibe, I would say, hey, I just want to let you know I'm flying a drone in the neighborhood. I'm not taking any pictures of your houses. I just wanted to let you know. Have a great day. And literally would like turn around and start walking away. And they would be like, well, what are you here for? Like, so many times we're knocking on that door and we're trying to pitch them right away instead of just getting them a little interested, right? Like that little bit of bait, throw something out there. And if they bite, that's when you go in. Otherwise you can always come back. Now I know a lot of people might not agree with that, but it worked for me, and I probably got more sales than anybody who doesn't agree with it.
So when you're going on the door, you're not actually trying to ask for anything, but you give him a little tease.
Yeah. So, and I'd go knock doors with Starbucks gift cards. Mm-hmm. I'd say, here's a $10 Starbucks gift card. They'd be like, what? So yeah, here's why I'm in the neighborhood. Like so many times, and this is why, because people have tried this before, right? To try to give away things. But nobody wants to have to do something for something. It's like, hey, I'll give you a $10 Starbucks gift card if you get on my roof. It's like, hey, you can get out of my front door. Mm-hmm. But it's like, if you give somebody something and you make them feel special, right? Everybody's going to forget what you said. They're going to forget what you did, but they're never, ever going to forget the way that you made them feel. And if you can make people feel special and important, that you care, then it's easy.
So you go up to them and you're just like, here's a $10 Starbucks gift card. Just wanted to let you know they'll be in the neighborhood. I'm flying this drone over and I'm doing an inspection on someone else's house, pretty much. Or like, what does that look like?
Yeah. And I mean, it's, it all depends, right? Like, how long have I been in that neighborhood, right? Because I would become like neighborhood famous, right? You got people who are like Instagram famous. Like I was like small HOA famous. And if I was small, depending upon the HOA, right? Because I could have one HOA where everybody loves me. I could go to another one. People are like, I have no idea who you are. So it really depended. So if it was a new neighborhood, I know I'm going to get that person in a couple weeks. Like I know it. So I'm not trying to sell them right there. I just want to get my name in front of them, let them think about me. And I don't even have to take their contact information, because in those HOAs, I'm going to find somebody who knows that person. Mm-hmm. There were so many times where I'd have, people tell me, hey, if you can get this person to sign, we'll go with you. I said, okay, I'll be back. Took me 2 months, but I take the person that they told me if I could get them to sign, that they would sign. I took that contract that exact same night. It was like 8:00 at night, already dark. First thing I did after I got that contract signed, I knocked on the door. They were almost going to sleep. I said, you told me, let's get this done. And finding, there's decision makers. Who are the influential people in these neighborhoods? Yep. And if you can get the influential people, you can get everybody.
There's always somebody in every neighborhood, right? That one person that everyone kind of looks to kind of see what's going on, like figuring it out. Like you can determine it. Look at their yard. They're gonna have the nicest yard. They're gonna be really well kept, and like and the person that like networks and communicates and connects with everybody in the neighborhood. If you can find that person, they'll sell a whole bunch of roofs for you. Mm-hmm. But you got to sell them. You got to provide a lot of value to be able to get that person, because they're also going to be like the hardest, person to crack, right? So if you're willing to put the work in, you put the hard work in to get the toughest client in the neighborhood, and the rest of them just kind of fall in line. It's like finding that one domino that if you knock that domino over, all the rest of them just start falling.
Exactly. And usually those decision makers, they're the hardest people to get, because they have a reputation, they have a name in the neighborhood. So like they're going to be the ones to grill you, make sure that everything is perfect. Mm-hmm. So that's why you have to get those early adopters, right? The 1 out of 10, because the next 3 people are the see it to believe it kind of people. They're the easiest to sell. They're not going to listen to you at first like the early adopters will, but they're the easiest to sell, because you take the 10 early. So if there's 100 houses in the neighborhood, you've got the 10 early adopters. Then you go, after you make them happy, then the next 3 out of 10 people are going to be the see it to believe it. That's 30 extra houses right there. So now you're with the 10 early adopters, and then the 30 see it to believe it. You're at 40 roofs. And if you can do 40% of a neighborhood, you have the whole neighborhood. And that's how it would work, right? I wouldn't have to go sell every single person in that neighborhood. By the time I got done taking over that neighborhood, they were calling me to sign.
Yep.
So, do you use like a formal referral program, or you just become just celebrity status in that neighborhood, and then that kind of just works for you alone, like right there?
I mean, it all depends. Like, you get some people who care about, $1,000 or $500 referral, whatever it is. And like
Mhm.
those people like legitimately like it. And I would take them straight cash. I wouldn't take them a check. I wouldn't make them wait till their other neighbor, paid it. As soon as I got that contract and I knew I had that neighbor, I'm taking them cash. And so many roofing companies want to wait till it's like, we want to make sure all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, fully paid before we give you a referral fee. And people really don't like that. It's like, as soon as they did what I asked them to do, I'm paying them.
You
And if
pay
I
it
was,
up.
yeah, and if I was to lose that money, who cares?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, Paul says he has a great personality. People like the vibe that come off of people that are genuine and real.
I appreciate that.
Amen to that. Amen. The people are feeling you, Jake Nix. They're feeling you, man. So what about the admin situation? Randy, you ever see sales guys that hire a couple of admins and just
Oh
start
yeah.
knocking? Yeah.
That's how I got my business going. Really, is that I got into sales kind of the same way, and we just were out knocking doors all day, every day, trying to sell roofs. And by the time, I've realized like I had a whole stack and file full of jobs. I'm like, crap, I got to actually manage all this and do all this paperwork and submit all these jobs. I hired my mom as my assistant back then. She happened to be in between jobs. I was like, hey, you think you can do paperwork for me? Sure. You know, 12 years later, here we are running a business. But yeah, I mean, and some of our guys, you'll get so busy that they'll need to hire an admin or their own personal assistants to help. And I think some people are afraid of that. Like, oh no, I can't invest in others. I can't spend any money. But if you look at and you run the economics behind it, what you can actually do if you can focus all your energy on selling roofs and have a system in place of doing the logistical piece of it, you could double your volume pretty quick with the right systems and processes in place.
Yeah,
hmm
100%. I mean, living a healthy life, that's one of the biggest things too, because, the life of a door-to-door salesman can be physically and emotionally exhausting, right? Because dude, I've had the cops call on me. I've had people yell at me. When you go to that door and that person just degrades you for being there, and you got to pick yourself up and go on to the next one. And then you're out there, all day. Sometimes you're not working out, you're not eating right. And then you're trying to take care of, stuff that you don't want to do, like paperwork. It can become emotionally and physically exhausting. And for me, I had seen that happen in the past. So I wasn't going to make that mistake myself. So I was able to kind of think before I got into that situation and put those things in place.
hmm But did you kind of go into that year when you hit that 30 million with the mindset is I'm going all in, I'm just going to see what kind of level I can hit? Like, I feel like there's got to be some kind of target that you put out there. Otherwise, you wouldn't have reached the heights that you did.
Honestly, so it sounds crazy, but I didn't, man.
Really?
I had fun with it. Like, I didn't make it a goal because I didn't know, there's not like a roofing leaderboard out there. It's not like professional sports where they're like, hey, this is something. Like, I literally every day I just gave my best. I had fun with it. And a lot of it came from just, enjoying the interactions with my clients,
hmm
the kind of people that you meet. So for me, it was just, I really enjoyed it and I made it fun instead of making it something stressful. And, by the time that I had sat down on, Lee Heights podcast, the one that really set me up, I had no idea that nobody else did those kind of numbers. And to come to find out that I did more in sales by myself than his whole company out there, I had no idea. Like, I just thought I was just doing something that was regular. So I really had no idea at all.
hmm that's interesting is I feel like, we get in this grind mode where we're just like so goal orientated, especially with an entrepreneurial type mindset, right? That it's just like grind, 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 make it happen, make it happen, make it happen, that you don't even enjoy the process. But when you're able to actually enjoy the process and have some fun, right, then you start to pull out that charm and everything like that. And then the clients feel it. They can definitely feed off of when you're in a good mood and a good mindset and you're enjoying your job. Like, you know, if it doesn't even matter if you're at a restaurant or something like that, and you can tell that the waiter or waitress enjoys their job, you have a way more pleasant experience and usually tip that person more.
Exactly. And that's really what it was, man. Enjoyed it, and didn't make every day stressful, to where it's like, if I wasn't putting myself in a lifestyle that was enjoyable, it's like, dude, what's the point of being out there? I mean, it sounds like a cliche saying, right? But you literally only live once. And, I mean, one of the biggest things for me was looking at Kobe Bryant, right? Like, Kobe Bryant would have traded every one of his accomplishments for just one more day with his family, one more week with his family. And it's like, we're so caught up in these accomplishments and so caught up in these goals and doing these things that we miss the things that are really actually important to us.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, I want to take a quick break to thank our sponsors, then we'll dive into some more, some strategies that other salespeople can implement to reach, new levels of success and differentiate themselves from the competition. But as always, we're going to start with our headline sponsor, Job Nimbus.
Job Nimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
All right, guys, if you somehow have not checked out Job Nimbus, make sure you check them out. Great platform to set up all your systems and processes to run your business in one centralized place. It's going to be info.jobnimbus.com/roofing-academy. And man, we have been seeing Texas get pounded lately. So if you're out in Texas or any of the other markets that are getting this hail, make sure you're checking out Hail Trace.
If you're in the hail game, if you're working hail claims and selling roofs that have hail damage, you need to know where the hail is, how big the hail is, and when it hailed. I mean, if you're on the fence, it's a game changer.
Man, that commercial gets better and better every time. Randy is meant for showbiz. All right, make sure you're checking them out.
I don't even need Hail Trace, and I want to go get it after Randy.
Yeah, you got to get Hail Trace now, man. I mean, Randy is an actor, man. He's like he's a next Tom Cruise or something, man. Action films, I think. Make sure you're checking them out if you're in one of those markets got hail. You want to figure out where it's hit and how bad it's been. HailTrace.com. And last but not least, of course, now, hey, Hail Trace helped you get on the roof, right? Your lead's in Job Nimbus, and now you're on the roof taking pictures, making sure you're getting everything for insurance purposes. You're going to need Company Cam.
Stop driving job site to job site or texting and emailing photos. Know what's happening across your business. Get started for free today.
Boom. Check them out. Get started for free today. You're going to go to companycam.com/SBG show. All right. Now we're back to the action. One thing that I know, we follow each other on Instagram, man. We're going back and forth, sending messages. We're all tight now on Instagram. We've grown the connection there. And you're posting, motivational quotes. You're inspiring me when I wake up in the morning with all this stuff, man. I'm like, I'm glad I'm following Jake Nix, right? Mindset. That's got to be a big thing for you, right? Mindset and everything like that. And I think in sales especially, if you don't have your head on straight, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long month, right? Do you have any advice at a mental standpoint or perspective to make sure that you're successful and kind of dealing with the bumps in the road when you're in the door-to-door sales space?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things is spending time on yourself, right? Because if you can go out in the right mindset, in the right spirit, what you can actually get accomplished even in a short few hours. Like, I would rather be in the right mindset and knock for 1 or 2 hours than to be in the wrong mindset and knock all day. Like, I'm going to get way more done. So spending time on, because the roofing life for a lot of people, not everybody, is a hard one, right? It's like, go out, knock all day, and then you drink at night. And then it kind of becomes this perpetual cycle. But if you can spend that time in the morning, the first things that you put inside your brain in the morning are going to determine your spirit throughout the day. So I wouldn't start a day unless my mind was right, unless I was reading a book, watching a motivational video, getting my prayers time in, right? Getting my spirit right, and getting my workout in. So it's like when my body, my mind, and my soul were all on the frequencies that they were supposed to be, when I would go knock on that door,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't matter how they answered. Like I've had people scream at me and sign a deal within 15 minutes. Oh, hold on.
You're good. You're good.
My FaceTime on my
Yeah, you're good. Don't worry about it.
you know, and so it's like, you know, it really is up to us, right? So when we're meeting that person, you could knock on their door and have one experience, but if you're in the right attitude and you're in the right mindset, you're going to have a completely different experience. So it really is all about you, because if I would go knock on a door after somebody else, you know, hadn't been able to close that, or hadn't been able to get that person's attention, or even to get them to listen to him, well, why was I able to after that? It's because of the way that I approached it and who I was. And there was no like sales pitch. There's no, you know, gimmicky, you know, roof pitch at all. It was just being a real person.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that you mentioned too was the books, right? So I know both of you guys are big readers. You know, Randy, I know you're an Audible guy. I'm not sure how you consume your content, Jake, but do you guys have any book suggestions that people should dive into? You know, business related, sales related, personal development related, anything that's really been hitting the spot?
Let Randy go first.
Shoot, I mean, there's a million of them. What I just recently this year, that was really kind of speaking of mindset and kind of motivation, was that "Can't Hurt Me" by David Goggins.
Mm-hmm.
And that was definitely one of those that just puts things in perspective to really, you know, really motivate and get you in the right state of mind to know that, you know, it doesn't matter what it is in life, if you put your mind to it and you really are committed to it, you can make things happen. You know, the things that he went through to accomplish his goals just makes like our day-to-day stress like look like nothing, you know. So it makes life a lot easier when you have that kind of perspective in mind.
That guy is unbelievable. So I was in Moab. We go to Moab every year and do a mountain bike trip, and I was there last year. And while we were there, he was in the Moab 200, and so he was running around Moab for 240 miles while I was there.
Oh, I don't even like to drive 240.
Yeah, right, man. Like, what the heck? That's unbelievable. What about you, Jake? You got any book suggestions or anything that's been good for you?
Yeah, man. So there's, you know, probably not a lot of people know my story, but I was homeless. I'm 29 now, so I was homeless at 20 years old. I lived in my car cleaning Planet Fitness from 10 o'clock at night to 5 a.m. in the morning. And, you know, during that time, I had no idea what it was to be successful. I thought I had to go to college. But, you know, me and school never really mixed. And so I had no idea how to become successful. And one of the books that I read was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And if I could change my mind, I could change my life. And that was for me one of the biggest things, right? So when I would go, like, my success from door knocking didn't come from door knocking, actually. Like the actual knocking on people's doors and signing contracts, that was the least of it. It was everything else, my whole life. Making sure I was at the gym, making sure my life was right, making sure my mindset was right? Like everything besides roofing, like that's what propelled me to be able to hit those kind of numbers. So I'm getting all prepped up and ready, right? And I'm not at the gym thinking about like, oh, I'm gonna go knock and I'm gonna get through these doors, whatever. I'm just enjoying life. And so when I get out there and I'm knocking on the door, I'm happy. And if you're happy and you've got joy inside when you knock on that door, like, people are going to feel that vibe. They're going to feel that, like, hey, you're not, your only intention is to just sell them a roof, to where it's like, hey, even if I don't get this door, I'm good. And if you're rude to me, I don't have to be rude back to you. On to the next one. And you'll call me again here in a few weeks after I take care of your neighbor.
No, that's a great attitude going into it too. It's like, hey, I don't need to sell this roof. You know what I mean? Like, I think, some people go in with a desperate mindset where I have to close this roof. You're like, hey, I'm good. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you eventually.
Well, because a lot of times, you don't know. For me, it's empathy, right? I don't know what that person is going through at that moment, right? The right thing at the wrong time is the wrong thing. And I've caught people in the middle of circumstances, life circumstances, situations where they weren't themselves, right? They answered the door angry, not because of me, but because other things going on in their life. And if I was to react to that, then I would validate it to where, like if somebody was rude to me, I would come back 2 weeks later, knock on the door and not even hold it against them, right? A lot of people like, don't go knock on that door if the dude's rude. You don't know what happened. Somebody in his family could have just died. You have no idea what's going on in that person's life. And you can't determine the value or whether you're going to be working with that person off of just one meeting.
Yeah, I like that on empathy. Sometimes it's hard to practice, especially when you're super goal orientated, right? And all you're thinking about is, I need to get this deal. So all your mind, it's all about you, right? And your goals, rather than focusing on what they're dealing with. But like you said before, if you kind of flip it, where you're just kind of enjoying the process and having fun with it, you might be more likely to kind of give people that empathy, right? So that's pretty cool. Do you think, you mentioned, the unbelievable story that you actually were homeless, right, at 20 years old. When I look at my struggles and things that I've gone with, I always feel like those struggles kind of teach you some things, and they kind of put a chip on your shoulder to make sure you reach your full potential. Do you feel like that kind of fueled you in a way, or what do you think that did for you?
Yeah, I mean, it fueled me and then held me back all at the same time. Because I mean, the oak sleeps in the acorn. Right? Everything that we are is already inside of us. Like, it's not like we become somebody so totally different. Like the person that's sitting in front of you today is the exact same person that was homeless. So for me, it fueled me, but that chip on my shoulder also is holding me back as well. So for me, is I had to let that go. I had to let that mentality go because I wasn't able to level up holding on to it. So it fueled a lot of my early on success. But a lot of that early on success was in small things that fit into my reality. My very first business was hauling people's trash from their house to their curb on trash day. So my very first business, I was a trash man because that fit in my small-minded thinking at the time. And it wasn't bad. But if I go from like, oh, I'm homeless, well, I can't be I can't be somebody great over here being a big business because I didn't go to college. So it's like, until I let that go and I let all of it go, I wasn't able to set, to be present and realize I can do whatever I want to do. Like if I was able to do more in sales by myself than a whole company in 1 year by myself, what else can I do? Like that was just the beginning. I didn't even try and I did that. But it's like letting go of those self-doubt and that self-limiting beliefs.
Was there a moment that you reinvented yourself and the way you looked at yourself, or do you think it was just progression as you kind of just got older and matured and went through different things?
Yeah, it had a lot to do with the birth of my first son, and I didn't really, because being a hustler, being somebody who's always on the grind, being somebody who's always so goal oriented, I didn't know that I could love someone as much as I loved success and the grind and all of these things. And that was one of my biggest moments when really my whole life changed, when I looked at this person and, I held him for the first time and I said, I love him more than I love myself. And that was for me one of the biggest defining moments where it's like nothing else really mattered but him. I'm like, dang, if because my whole life up until that point, because he's 2 years old now, was always about me, always on the grind, always, hustling. And it all changed. I'm like, dang, if it could be gone that quick that I couldn't care less about it, why would I invest any more time in it? So that was really at the moment that I started changing my perspective. I started changing the way that I do anything, because the way that you do anything is the way that you do absolutely everything.
Isn't it kind of wild how, when you're so goal orientated, sometimes it can actually become a weakness because you kind of become blind to other things, or you can burn yourself out. So when you were in that spot, and just one more question on that, because I think that's a pretty unbelievable story, right? Did you feel like you were a victim? Did you feel like life was unfair, or what was your mindset in that point?
No, I didn't feel like a victim, and I didn't feel that life is unfair, because life isn't fair. Like life doesn't give you what you want; it gives you what you deserve. And there are people who are not in, situations that were unfair. So I felt like life was unfair. There's people that life is unfair to, but it wasn't unfair to me. I felt less in myself. So I wasn't angry at life. I felt little inside. Like, I'm not special. I'm not good. I'm not these things. Like, life is life. But it was me. So it was all in me, no victim mentality at all.
Well, that's half the battle. You got to take ownership. Everybody has the same 24 hours. We can either find people and find things and elements to just blame all the time, or we can find ways to take ownership of the things that we can control. And the one thing that we know we can control is our attitude, and our mindset, and then it kind of takes away this, like what you mentioned earlier, the self-limiting beliefs and the self-doubt out of it. And I know this kind of cliche, but if you really put your mind to it, you can accomplish just about anything that that is physically able to you know what I mean? I'm not going to just go pick up a basketball and say, well, I'm going to be Michael Jordan by tomorrow. That's not realistic. But at the end of the day, if I want to be a successful entrepreneur, I can be a successful entrepreneur. There's nothing out there in the world that's going to stop me from doing that. If I truly believe that, and I truly commit to learning and growing and putting in the work and the effort to become that, I can do that. And I think a lot of us just have this, what we've been talking, to sum up kind of what we've been talking about is, the scarcity mindset versus the abundance mindset. If everything is scarce and the glass is half full and oh me, oh my, everything's coming down on me, I never can catch a break, I'm unlucky. Those things that you tell yourself manifest into reality. If you have an abundance mindset and you tell yourself, I am good, I am a good person, I am successful, I am a leader, I can be successful, I can grow others. Those things will manifest. So it all starts with yourself. It all starts in the mirror. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I had for me, I had daily affirmations that I said to myself 5 times a day, 5 times every single day. I said these, over and over of what I was. But, one of the easy, it's like, hey, that's easy for those people to do. But not for me. I don't have stuff going on in my life. And a really easy way, right? Because if you can start from a place of gratitude, right? Gratitude where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Not where you're going to be at next week, but like, okay, who's the person that's sitting down watching this right now? Can you be grateful for what you have? And a lot of people are like, well, I don't have anything. But like, here's a trick, right? Because everybody does this to make money, right? Everybody goes out, sells roofs, they hustle, they build businesses to make money. But Nick, tell me a number, some crazy amount of money that you just be like, bro, if I had that, that would be it.
Give me $100 million.
$100 million bucks. Would you trade me your 2 legs for $100 million?
No.
Bro, you are rich.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to trade what you have right now for what you're going after, then you're rich. And a lot of people don't realize that. There's people who are billionaires on their deathbed, dying, that would trade every single one of those dollars to go back to being when I was homeless, living in that car. Because life is the gift. Like that's, and like people, I've got nothing to be grateful for, man. If you can see, if you can walk, if you can talk, if you've got arms, you're rich. Like there's no amount of money that can buy what you have. And the great part is that it doesn't matter where you're at right now. You can start, right? KFC, Colonel Sanders didn't get started till he's like, 50 years old. Yeah. Now look at KFC. So it's like, it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. All that matters is right now.
I like that.
I think that happiness you talked about is, if you're truly happy and have the right energy, you're going to be more successful in door knocking and in life and in entrepreneurship. I think that happiness starts with gratitude. And that's hard, man. It's hard for us to stop the comparison game. I mean, with social media and everybody jumps on there and we all do it. You start comparing to everyone else. I'm not good enough. I'm not performing enough, and if you can just look at each and every day and just take a moment to just meditate on what the things you're grateful for, a little spark of happiness will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And just focus on gratitude, let it drive your happiness, and then serve others. Man, that's the ultimate cocktail for success.
Yeah. Comparison really is the thief of joy. And it's really big in the roofing industry because you got a lot of these roofers out there that are driving around in like these brand new exotic cars, showing off this crazy life, right? Taking a picture where they're flying a drone over this huge building, out here doing inspection. But what you don't really know is that person wasn't really inspecting that building. It was just a fake photo. It was just a fake session. Hey, take a picture of me flying this, and here's what I'm going to say. And that happens in our industry, right? We're looking at these guys driving these cars. Well, you don't realize that they're using the stack and starve method and stealing from their employees and their salespeople. And they've got 14 lawsuits coming against them, and their whole life is going down in shambles. And you're comparing yourself to that person. That person's miserable. Don't compare yourself to those people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No
So
comparison to anybody, right? At the end of the day, all you're doing is competing against yourself, And as a business coach, and coaching other clients in my same market, it's like they're not competition. I'm not competition for them. Every day I wake up, I'm my own competition. If I can focus each and every day on getting better and better and better, that's all that matters at the end of the day, Just focus on competing against yourself and improving upon yourself, and you're always going to win.
Exactly.
So in my mind, one of the keys to success is people who they're very emotionally stable, right? And they have a short memory. They forget real quickly those rough moments. Do you guys have any tips? Randy, we'll start with you. Any tips of how to bounce back, right? So you have those rough, how it is in sales, entrepreneurship, man, those rough days, they come, and sometimes they come in bunches, man. You're like,
They
what the
do.
hell? Any tips of that bounce back mentality?
Well, the first thing, and it doesn't, I'll tell you right now, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, experienced there was a point when I was homeless. I've been bankrupt. I've been up, I've been down, and it's real. There's no amount of facade or social media fame or posting that you can put out there. All of us go through these same cycles in life and in entrepreneurship. All of us have hardship, and all of us have challenges we got to overcome. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think the first step is just finding something to be grateful for. And
Mm-hmm.
finding ways to really pour in and serving others, and that's the first step of trying to get through those waves. But just understand that life and business has ebbs and flows, and if you're learning all the time, when things are down, when things are challenging, what can you be grateful for, and what can you learn? When things are
Mm-hmm.
up, when things are awesome, don't forget about the low, don't forget about where you came from. What can you be grateful for, and what can you learn? Ask yourself those two questions during all the ups and downs in life and in business, and I think that's the way to get through there. And you're going to pick on me, but I'm just going to dive right into it, because that ties right into the golden nugget for today. Really was all about like the embracing the journey, right? We don't have, we put all this energy in the goal or the destination, and we think once I get there, then I will do this, or then I will feel this way, or I will accomplish this certain thing. And then you get there and you're like left unfulfilled. Look at Michael Jordan. Wins a championship, excited for one day, kisses the trophy. What does he do the next day? Goes back to work because he wants another one, and works twice as hard because it wasn't enough. It's always the desire for more. So I think if we need take a moment and just embrace the journey and understand that the journey is the destination.
Mm-hmm.
The ebbs and flows in life and the ebbs and flows in business and the knowledge that we gain each and every day, that is the destination. You're in the destination. Find something to be grateful for each and every day, and the rest kind of just manifests itself. And the last piece of that is you just got to show up. You just got to show up each and every
Mm-hmm.
day. Show up with the right heart, the right mind, the right spirit. Make sure you're serving others, and you're bound to be successful, and you're bound to be happy and achieve the goals that you're going to achieve.
So true. Well said all around. I mean, it's pretty wild. If you're one of those people that just keep showing up, no matter how you feel, usually good things are gonna happen, right? You can't be
Yeah.
stopped if you just keep showing up. Jake, man, Randy just had a Randy rant, man, right there. That was a solid one. So, I don't even remember what.
Can make them quick.
Yeah. So give me some goodies, my friend.
One of the things, the biggest deals that I've ever done are on the days that I didn't feel good. Like I'm not, I can say that with 100% truth. My biggest deals that I have happened on days where I felt like, complete crap, or I was not motivated that day. I think that life has good things in store for us as we're on the journey on the way. And when something good's on the way, a lot of times it tries to throw you off because, there's forces in life that don't want you to succeed. One of the things to realize, no big movie, right, is ever just all good. Like, could you imagine watching a movie that it's just happy the whole time? It'd be weird.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
It'd be like, what? Like the whole movie's just like bliss. It's like, what? Like no great movie is without the bad. And the bad actually is sometimes the biggest propelling. Like your enemies will make you famous. The situations, the hard things that you went through and how you handle them, those will make you famous. Anybody can go and do something when it's easy, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it. But one of the biggest factors, right? What is happiness? Happiness is chemicals being released inside your body. Those chemicals are already inside your body. And a lot of times we have to wait for external factors to help us release that. So a lot of times we're going to look for things to make us happy. Something that's already inside of us, we're going to look for external factors to drive that. Nothing external can ever fix anything internal.
My man, dude. My man. Man, I knew this was going to be a good one.
So let me wrap, man, as like, and I'll let you wrap really, but just my last little piece of that, vulnerability, like I've been struggling, man. I'm at that, you know what I mean? You got those ebbs and flows. Like, I feel like I've been burning the candle at both ends, working all day, every day, multiple things, just a million things going on. And you reach a point of just like, man, like, I just need a break, or I don't know how much more I can take. And I can tell you guys that just being on the show with you today, I feel a lot better.
Hell yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, we all go through it. I mean, people see us
Mm-hmm.
on this show all happy and blah, blah, blah. And like, they don't know that we're in this with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are viewing this. We're in this together. There's no magic pill, magic bullet. We're all human. We all have ebbs. We all have flows. We all have ups. We all have downs. And I'll appreciate you guys' time today, because I'm leaving out of this today feeling just a little bit better after being pretty stressed the last couple of days. So
Hallelujah.
let's go.
I love it. Jake, my man, that's what we're here for, right?
That's it.
We got to get back in the hot tub now. You know what I'm saying? Hit back Keystone, grab a couple beers, hit the hot tub.
That's it. Y'all fly me up tomorrow.
I'm with it.
Oh, Jake, man. Hey, I really appreciate you jumping on, man. Hey, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
I'm not taking anybody to contact me right now. I'm actually retiring this year.
You're retiring. You're done.
I'm retired, man.
Are you moving out on an island or something, or what's going on? What's your plan now?
Man, I don't know. And I'm not retiring like the regular sense of the word, right? It's just like I'm on a journey right now of my own alignment, right? Because I don't believe that, if there's already something good in the industry, and it's already working, I don't need to be doing that. So for me, it's figuring out, it's like, what is that one spot that I'm supposed to be in, right? There's all these different, people out there. I don't want to be them. So I'm figuring out what my niche is. But if they do, if anybody wants to know about my company, 638 Solutions, which is a patent pending company where we generate leads for roofers, then they can hit me up. But if it's just a talk.
Hit you up on Facebook or what?
Yeah, hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Jake J. Nix. But just a quick, shout out for what we're doing. I developed a patent for gift cards. So we do through direct mail, we send them zero balance gift cards like Starbucks. And to activate it, they have to scan it and watch an interactive video about your company. So when they scan it to activate it, a video pops up about your roofing company, and you tell them what you want to do. And then you say, hey, click here. And once they click on that, they have to exchange their information with you. And then we load the money on the gift card. And then we'll hit them with an additional value prop and say, hey, if you want to go ahead and schedule an in-home inspection right now, we're going to make it $20 more, whatever. And we're just getting phenomenal results.
Super cool idea, man. Super cool idea.
Man, he brought it out. I thought he was going to hold that under the belt.
Yeah, I didn't know, man. But hey, this guy is super smart, dude. right? Pleasure to hang out with and speak with. Always have a great time. So, Jake, we really appreciate you, even though you're in retirement, coming out of retirement to speak with us for the hour on
No
episode
more door-to-door
150.
sales.
No,
Yeah.
All right.
I'm done. I'm done with it. I've got people that message me. They're like, "Hey, you want to come do door-to-door sales?" I said I couldn't think of anything I'd rather not do.
Man, this is bigger than when Michael Jordan hung it up, dude, in his retirement speech. This is big. This
He'll be back.
happened live
Different
on the
number,
Start Build
different
Grow
team.
show.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'll be back in a few months, probably after my my fight coming up. So if y'all in the roofing sales group, you're probably catching some of the noise. I won't talk about it on this one, but it's we got some good stuff coming.
Yeah, there's a boxing match, man. The next Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather is going down. All right. Well, hey, Jake, thank you so much. Randy, always a pleasure. Thanks for everybody listening to episode 150.
Make sure to like and subscribe. If you're in your
Yes.
car, at the next light, click the little subscribe button. If you're
Easy.
watching on Facebook, subscribe and hit the little notification for every time we do go live, which is every Tuesday afternoon. And we appreciate you guys. Take care. God bless.
Wait, well, let me throw one more out there. Sorry. Life is an exchange. So if you got any value out of this podcast whatsoever, even a little bit, how do you exchange something? You go like, you go subscribe, you go comment, you share it, because life rewards you. So many people in life, but it's like, what can you do for the Start Build Grow show? You can promote it. So if you don't give an exchange and you don't help out, that knowledge is going to leave you by tomorrow. So you're going to get more out of it by giving back.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Everybody, we're out on episode 150 of the Start Build Grow show.